Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a Monday it is. What a Monday it is. Pep's a bald fraud. Arteta looks like a Thunderbird. And Michael Carrick has mugged off all of the top managers in the space of 5 games effectively and left them all for dust. Today, we're going to discuss 5 things we learned from the game yesterday. I definitely want to get my opinion in there because I was gutted not to be on the post-match reaction because I was working. But we also want to hear your opinions as well and why you think Carrick's doing so well and everything in between. Shreyas is alongside me. It's not a bad Monday afternoon, this, is it, mate? Feels good.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, probably one of the finer post weekends I've ever felt after
Yeah,
watching a Sunday game with United.
yeah.
And yeah, I hope it lasts longer. But yeah, with how things are going and how confidence is right now, I think this is perhaps the best we've seen United in the past 3 years, three and a
Mm,
half years, you can say. I think
yeah,
this is the best football we've ever seen, especially against top sides.
yeah. Quite literally in one sentence, you've just beat the 2 best teams in the league back to
Yeah,
back, and you've done it in style as well. So, with that comes content, and with that comes, a deep dive into certain things. And the 5 things that we're going to dive into, I'll pop them on the screen. Number 1, progress, not just a manager bounce. Number 2, pressing as a collective and tactics as well. We'll dive into that. Number 3, Dorgu, Ballon Dorgu. We will get into that. Not just relying on Bruno Fernandes, number 4, and how other players are starting to step up. And the fact that when Casemiro leaves in the summer is going to leave a giant hole. I think they're probably good talking points. I know
yeah,
you and the boys last night touched on a couple of interesting things as well. But the reason why, I mean, get into the first one now, Shreyas, the reason why the first one to me, it feels like progress rather than just a bounce, rather than just they're playing for the manager, is because when they do it against City, right, you think, okay, that can happen in a Manchester derby because we've seen it before. Even though it was done
yeah.
stylistically different, you can see, us doing it, pulling it out of the bag. And there was fair questions about that, whether there's going to be a manager boost or not. But doing it against Arsenal at the Emirates, just the way we did it as well, in a similar, not a similar setup, that it was a couple of different tweaks, but we had the kind of same repeated, disciplined approach that, especially out of possession, you saw us defending really, really compact, 4-4-2. There was
Yeah.
just a real level of structure and professionalism about how effective we was, if that makes sense. And I think across 2 big games, to show that in a sustainable fashion, it shows there is something to build on there. It shows that the players are buying into the ideas and that they're taking risks, they're believing. And when they get on the ball as well, that they've got a strong identity in how they're shifting it and how they're switching play and how they're breaking down oppositions. So off the ball and on the ball, you're seeing such a massive, huge difference. My question for you would be to come back at that. Do you think it feels like, oh, it's just a honeymoon period? Or do you think it's where, can we start buying into these ideas with Carrick? Or are you like, no, just give it a few weeks and then we'll see? Where are you at with it?
I think this is something you can actually buy into because it's not that these have been lucky breaks against City and Arsenal. I mean, for if I look into both of those games, we played much better football than both Arsenal as well as Man City. And I think one of the most remarkable things in the Arsenal game was they scored first, but even though they scored first, our team looked unfazed.
Mm,
Like there wasn't, this sort of, like when you usually play against Arsenal and they
crumble.
score a goal against us. Yeah, you see nerves,
Yeah,
on the players as well, that
yeah.
we need to get a goal as soon as possible, or like the first game that we had this season against Arsenal, we played good football, we played better than them, but the moment Calafiori scored, it
Yeah.
just seemed like our team was a whole lot more nervous
Hmm.
than before we conceded. And yesterday, it was a completely different story. They scored in similar fashion, like they usually do, scrappy goal. But what I saw from the manager was something that he still asked us to just slow the pace of the game down. Doesn't matter if they score one or they score two. We'll he had that confidence that we can get back at them and score goals against them as well. And 5 minutes on, we scored the equalizer.
But
So I think that tactically, he's a very sound manager. I think when you look at ball progression wise, when you look at one of the brighter areas of Michael Carrick is he's using every player to his strengths. Like I think a lot of people were skeptical about Mbumo playing as a 9, but
hmm
when you see the sort of role he has to play as that number 9. It basically, is tailor-made for
And he's
Mbumo.
connected with Bruno as well. That's the
Exactly.
main thing. Like they are so within 10 yards of each other where if we do get a chance, you can just punch at the opposition
Exactly.
instantly. That's what I'm
All
most
you
impressed with.
all he has to do is make the right run, and he's playing through.
Yeah.
When you actually see at it, he's not playing as that, sort of a number 9 that he's the focal point, or he has to hold up play. Not at all. He needs to run through players. He just needs to run through channels.
Mm.
And both Bruno as well as Ahmad and Dorgu actually help him out a lot, because you see the heat map of Ahmad and Dorgu. 75% of the time they are, hugging the touchline. They're out wide, they're maintaining the width. Bruno is able to move into those spaces, and Mbumo is able to easily move through those spaces as well. And then when you've got a box to box player like a Kobe Menu with that sort of freedom, it makes it very difficult for opposition teams to shut you down, because when you look at all the players that I've just mentioned, Dorgu knows how to score a goal. Ahmad is very, very unpredictable on the on the wide hand side, because you never know whether he's going to move it out wide, whether he's
Mm.
going to cut inside and go for a shot. Bruno, you cannot allow him any sort of space in and around those box, because if you do, you're just going to hurt yourself. And Mbumo has been so clinical in the past few games. One or two chances, and he's able to score them away with ease.
Yeah.
So when you're able to get this out of players, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. When you've got quality, and one of the things that I do like is we've had quality players, but for the first time, we are seeing that sort of quality on display on the pitch, not just on paper.
It's a range of quality as
Yeah,
well. It's like if you're going into a war, we've not just got a rifle, you've got every kind of weapon possible to hurt the opposition. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they all have different qualities, and even off the bench, like Sesko as a target man or Cunha coming on and doing what he'd done. Managing that is for a manager must be a little bit difficult when you've got that much depth in the attack. That's going to be a thing further down the line. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but you're right about the in-game management is something for me that is totally different, because with Ruben Amorim, there'd be times in a game, the Newcastle game, I think, for example, where we're defending the lead and he brings on like 4 teenagers and takes off all his experienced players.
yeah,
And you're looking at it, you're going, what? And then the centre back thing as well would always bring on centre backs when we need to go and chase a game and take a risk. He would almost have that mindset in a game where he'd make the players worried. Well, do you know
yeah.
what I mean? There'd be little things in a game like the Grimsby one where he's not even watching a penalty shootout. Criminal, absolutely criminal. If you're looking towards your manager and he's like that in a fucking dugout, where's the inspiration? Where's the belief and confidence coming from? Michael Carrick stands tall. He calls his shots. He makes his decisions, and every decision that he's made, go back and look at all the subs. I think 95% of them have been effective. They've either
Yeah.
got an assist or a goal or played a massive role in what we've done. So that maybe should have been one of the 5 things we learned, that his in-game management has been super effective. But tactically, Shreyas, from a pressing standpoint, they
Yeah.
looked like there was actually a plan. It wasn't like Jurgen Klopp fucking full gegenpress,
No,
mauling
no.
like madmen, but there was pressure without the ball, which was pretty smart. Like they knew when to go. And if you look at the goal that they conceded, Zubimendi's not made a mistake all season.
Yeah.
Literally. Like he has been so fucking good on the ball. And the way we press, it was so smart. The way we
Bruno and Ahmad, when they
into it.
press
Yeah.
together, I
Yeah.
mean,
And their high line was constantly tested.
yeah,
And I thought it was so impressive. And just the composure and the triggers when to go, and knowing it was just selective, well timed, and very, very effective. And that was one of the things I was most impressed with. And under the last 5 managers that we've had, whenever we ever really sat there, apart from maybe 45 minutes under Ralph Ragnick, where we thought, okay, this gegenpress thing might be a thing, where it's looked like that. Under Ollie, it was always disjointed. Under Ten Hag, it was always disjointed. It'd always be one man trying to press. This looks like
Bruno.
yeah, the positional, they're all waiting to attack, and it's just
Yeah.
bang, and they're ready to go like hyenas. And that for me, like I'm so happy with how they're defending off the ball and on the ball. And it's improved, hasn't it? In the space of what, 10 days has he been here with Emirates?
Yeah.
12 days? I'm not sure. Yeah, what
It
thoughts
is.
on that? Just off the ball work. It's good,
Yeah,
right?
because I think for the past 3 years, even these players, they just didn't understand what the whole idea is behind pressing. It is not that you're just running behind the ball for the entire 90 minutes. That's
Yeah,
never
just
been
chase
how
it
you go at
like
it.
a dog with a toy.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what we used to do under Ten Hag. Like, I
Yeah.
still remember we don't have the ball. We're just running around without having an idea as to what to do
Mhm.
in certain areas. But right now, it doesn't matter if you're not pressing for the entire 90. You need to press at the right moments. When you see players isolated on the ball, you cut off those channels, and you need to pick your moments. You're never going to be in an area where always and every second 3 to 4 players are going with you for the press. It's never going to happen for the
Hmm.
entire 90. You need to pick your moments right, and right now we're doing it quite smartly. And on the other hand, even when we are not pressing, what is good to see is that the team has the belief that they are defensively solid enough
Yeah.
that even if they don't press, they can absorb that sort of pressure. And under Amorim, it never used to happen. Like whenever we used to say we need to ride out the first 20 to 25 minutes, we used to concede within those first 20 to 25 minutes, even though we played a back five,
Mm.
which wa- which is something that I never understood. That as to how we used to concede goals in the fashion that we did under Amorim. You know, we just started the game at a disadvantage in so many games, and under Carrick, these are the same players. I mean, Maguire looks incredible in this role.
But
Lissam,
how bad of a coach does Ruben Amorim look like to see these players playing like they do, back to back wins against City and Arsenal, and then the way we was dropping points to Bournemouth, Everton, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, or like, how the fuck I don't get how there's such a big gulf in difference. And those players must have been so uncomfortable in that system.
yeah,
You got as a coach, you have to maximize the ability levels out of them. And what Carrick's done best is put them in the positions that they are comfortable with, that they know, and where there's balance. And look at the difference. It's night and day. Now this might only be a week, 2 weeks that you get out of it. It might, and maybe we'll look at it differently. But if they keep performing like this, they will they will at least compete with every team in the league.
I think with the games we've got left, if we are able to continue, not saying just results, but just saying if we play this way, how we are playing at the moment, we'll
Mm.
beat 90% of the teams because
Which
we
makes you
played
think
most.
you win
Yeah.
those games, Shreyas. You win those games near the bottom. Where are you then? Do you know what I mean?
I
Like, what
think
points are we get?
yesterday in the review we discussed it that we basically lost 13 to 14 points from winning positions against the likes of West Ham, Everton, Brentford, and these sort of clubs, Leeds, Burnley, these sort of teams. And you add 13 points to what we've got right now, we get 50, we get to 51. 51
51,
points
and
mean
we'll
we
be
are
top of the
first.
table.
Yeah. So, it is maybe something to laugh about for some people, but these points do make a difference.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that this team is much better than West Ham. This team is much better when it comes to comparing it to the likes of Burnley, Everton, or Leeds. When you look at the quality we've got to offer, and I think with how Kobe Menu has come back into this team, all these talks about him not being fully committed to physical running up and down the pitch and him being lazy. He's
Mm.
covered the most distance in the past 2 games by a mile.
Yeah.
So I don't know what sort of problem Amorim had with playing, Menu in this sort of a setup. More of it does definitely has to do with being with system oriented players. But you just look at him play when he's got that sort of freedom on the ball and he's just gliding through the field. He's perhaps one of the brightest talents we've got coming through from the academy for quite some time now.
Mm. I think the structure of the midfield, just the way we are off the ball, is so night and day for what we was doing under previous managers. Like you see, I know people can say whatever they want about Newcastle, let's say for example, but when they're off the ball at home, let's say at St James's Park, you see a 4-5-1, very compact.
Yeah,
They are so hard to break down. If it's Arsenal at the Emirates, 4-4-2, again really compact, and they'll know when to press. With United, it's never felt like that under Ten Hag. It was like it's just Casemiro on his own defending 3 players,
yeah,
getting ran ragged. Under Amorim, there was only 2. Mainu's not athletic enough. Bruno doesn't really suit that position, and then Casemiro will sit. So that didn't fit. Under Ole, it was like, okay, we've got McFred, who McTominay isn't really a defensive midfielder. As you can see, what's going on at Napoli. Fred was
yeah,
half and half, and there'd be such a disconnect from the back 5 and back 6, whatever, to the front 4. There'd be a big gap in the middle. So we couldn't play through the lines, and we struggled with ball
exactly.
progression. So now you again balance. You found the right balance of players. Like you could bring in an Anderson and Belieber or whatever, but you found the right balance, and it's working for now. So continue it, especially against a midfield like arguably Rice, Zubimende, and Ødegaard is probably the best midfield in Prem. Would you
They've
agree?
got. I think Casemiro, Menu, and Bruno is better.
Well, yeah, you can say that now. But prior to the game, you're looking at that and you think they've done pretty well. Declan Rice,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
this season has been
Zubimendi
unbelievable.
and Rice have been running the show
Yeah,
this season
Zubimendi
for
and
us,
Rice have been
hands down.
incredible, but we dealt with it and dealt with
Yeah,
it pretty competently, which is
they threw
impressive.
everything they had in that game.
Yeah.
Like he made 4 subs at a time. Like every single player that he had that could offer any sort of goal threat, he brought on, and
Mm,
still it wasn't enough.
yeah.
And you know the face that Carrick on had on when he made those subs, he like the confidence that the manager gives to the players at times as well is we'll do him, we don't have to worry, just stay compact, stick to the plan, and that's what you want from your sort of manager, because we never got that sort of confidence under Ruben
Yeah.
Amorim. And one of the reasons for it was also because whenever he got asked these sort of difficult questions, he as a manager cannot say that I am worried something like last season could happen again. You are the guy who is supposed to relieve us from that sort of stress. If your manager is saying these sort of things, it doesn't really fill the fans with confidence either.
Mhm. I want to get into the title race and European football, and we'll discuss that towards the end. But there's a few people joining us, so please do get your opinions in. I want to hear everything, what you thought about the game, who you was most impressed with, your thoughts on Arsenal as well. Will they start bottling it now? 4 points at the top. Are they going to do it again? Surely not for the 4th season in a row. Aaron's saying we used an educated press that's so effective. The next 5 games are going to show where this team's at, less open, and have to break teams down more than previous 2 games. It's a very good point. Abidal says, will the United Strand get the haircut? Well, he's got 3 games, hasn't he? I mean, if
Yeah,
we're beating, I don't know who we've got in there. I know we've got Fulham
I'll
next at
just
Old
check.
Trafford. I don't know the 2 after that. I feel like it's
Yeah, we've got
Palace, maybe.
Fulham at Old Trafford, then we've got Spurs at Old Trafford, and then West Ham.
Oh, Spurs is easy. Light work, no problem with that.
Spurs
Spurs
and
are
West Ham, I can see. I think Fulham is the most troublesome one right now.
Yeah, Fulham are in good form, really good form. Harry
Yeah,
Wilson in particular has been, it's
seventh
been
in the
stellar
table.
form for them. Yeah, they're doing well. So it's crazy, isn't it? Because we think we're on a bit of a high, but if Fulham beat us, I think they'll go level on points or something. That's how well they're doing.
Yeah,
So
just 1 point off us. If Fulham beat us, they're just 1 point off us.
crazy, absolutely crazy. Right, let's talk about Patrick Dorgu. My
Yeah.
goodness me, what on earth has happened to this player after struggling for consistent minutes at the start of the season? This guy has completely flipped the narrative, hasn't he? I mean, in the last month, he's added end product to his game. His 1v1s is decent. He's popping up with goals. He's popping up with assists. He's getting back. He's covering distance. Some of the most touches on the pitch. I don't know what the fuck's happened to this kid. It's like, I think he kind of started in it at Newcastle right wing when he scored that volley.
Yeah.
And that kind of stood up because we've been watching it wing back or left back and struggling at times, looking a little bit clunky. And then since that volley that he scored against Newcastle, you're like, again, it goes back to it, doesn't it? Shows like how a system and lack of confidence can just dampen a player completely.
Yeah.
And you look, I think him on the left wing at the moment, I don't know what's going on in his injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's his spot, isn't it? Even with Cunha, he's keeping Cunha out the team. That's how well he's playing.
While Cunha is actually playing so damn well as well whenever he's come on.
Yeah.
So I think he deserves a lot of praise. And I think he's a player who, because the team as a unit was not really performing that well, results weren't going our way, that he got, I would say, I would just say overexposed a bit. Something that he didn't really deserve, because he's still a very young kid, coming from Lecce, who are
20
again
million.
not, yeah, and coming from Lecce, who are not really that much of an established club in the Serie A. They are not that like an AC Milan or an Inter Milan where players are quite established and they've the experience at the top. He's not come from that sort of a background, and after the shift that did happen when Amorim got sacked, it was a big opportunity for him, to come into this role while Ahmad was out, Mbumo was out because of AFCON, and he took that opportunity so well. He's the most informed player in the league right now when you have to look at the ratings. And just look at the heat map. He's doing everything that a winger has to do. He's maintaining the width, like Ahmad used. Like we said it a lot of times that Ahmad is the only true winger that we've got, but Dorgu is doing the same thing on that left hand side, maintaining that width, going up and down. His defensive work rate as well is off the charts, and he was one of the one of the massive reasons why Saka didn't work at all in that game.
Yeah,
Him and Luke Shaw,
doubling
I
up.
think they were on the same page. They doubled him down very well,
Hmm.
and I think as as a youngster, from the sort of criticism he's come out of it really strong, and he's got more goals than Gyökeres, he's got more goals than Xavi Simons, and he's got more goals than Florian Wirtz this season.
Well, he's been involved in 5 goals in his last 7 Premier League games, so 3
Yeah,
goals and 2 assists. So probably arguably the most informed man, and the teams that he's doing it against as well. Sometimes when you mention stats, people will talk about, oh, well, you only play Wolves at the bottom of the table, or you only
yeah,
play these. Like, no, we're playing the best teams in the country and in Europe, arguably at the minute, especially in Arsenal. So, and that goal that he scored as well. Oh my God.
yeah.
Someone shouted behind me because, like I said, I was in work at the time, so I couldn't watch it. Someone screamed and went, "Oh my fucking God, how has he just scored that?" And I thought, oh, it's going to be a Rice free kick or something like that. Like I didn't think it. And when I watched that, the link up between him and Bruno, the handball that he was shouting for, it's just like,
Yeah.
shut up about that. Volley, barring in, those are the kind of things, when old replays come up from like Premier League years and stuff like that's one of them that'll be on there.
Yeah.
Cunha's goal and Dorgu's goal, it's hard to pick between them, but I personally felt Dorgu's goal was better. I don't know if you agree.
I think Cunha's was just better because of the way that swerved in that ball,
Yeah, he
and
used the
especially
guy in front of him to like disguise it
yeah.
and just kind of throw the keeper off a little bit.
I
And
mean,
it was so
it's
like
not an
the
easy
space that he was
technique.
given though, as
Yeah,
like for Arsenal, that doesn't happen. Like honestly,
yeah,
if you go back and replay the goal that Cunha scored, he has got acres of space around him. Like, and you give Cunha that. I don't know if they've ever watched Cunha last season for Wolves, especially if in the Fulham game. You give him
yeah.
that space, mate, he will just
You're
fucking
done
smash
for.
one in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that dilemma now is interesting, isn't it? Like, where'd you go with that in terms of, because we're only in the Premier League, we're not in the Carabao FA Cup or Champions League, are we? So what front four? Do you just stick with that front four and boom
Yeah,
on the bench, Sesko and Cunha?
yeah. I think, look, the whole thing is they're operating so well.
Mm,
Like every single player in these roles, and Kune as a super sub has been crazy every
yeah,
single time that he's come on against City as well and against Arsenal. I think one of the things that I really like about Cunha is, especially, you get him on when you're trying to retain a lead. He's going to irritate the hell out of the opposition. He's going to
yeah,
win fouls every single time. Take hold of the ball, time waste, every single thing. And not to say, he's got a whole lot of quality to offer. And I think even as a winger, I think he's been doing quite well. Whenever he's come on, and again, if you put him in those sort of areas like we did against Arsenal, he's 10 out of 10 times, 7 times he's going to score that goal every
yeah.
single time, because he's just got that sort of quality in him. So I really like how we're using Cunha at the moment. I'm loving the way Mbumo is scoring back to back goals as well. And again, this is what we have been crying out for so many times: competition for places.
Yeah.
Sesko had 3 goals in 2 appearances, and he's still not getting consistent game time in this team. And it's nothing to be even angry about, because at the same time we're playing brilliant football, and I'm sure that Sesko will get his opportunities. I think against Arsenal and against City, it wasn't the right game for someone like a
No, it's
Sesko.
right.
I think
Yeah.
you need someone like an Mbumo in that sort of game, with that sort of pace, and again that sort of experience as well, to navigate
Yeah.
through in those sort of moments. I'm not sure if Sesko would have converted that goal Mbumo converted.
Just about to say that. Yeah. I think with a little bit of inexperience, bit of nerves,
Yeah,
maybe Sesko might have made the wrong decision, and then it's a different game. You're absolutely spot on with that. I like the blend of the front four. I just think if we was in another competition, you could balance it out with game time and
yeah,
you can manage players better and say, don't, the manager might turn around and go, listen, you're not starting at the Emirates, but you're going to play against Bayern away, or you're going to play against these. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you can manage it better that with players. For now, it'll be fine because he's winning and we're in the top 4 places officially, finally. I mean, it's only
yeah,
taken us, look, listen, lads, you got a chance to get into the top 4. All you've got to do is get points against Everton. Listen, lads, you've got a chance to get into the top 4. All you've got to do is beat West Ham. Listen, lads, you got a chance to get into the top 4. You've got to beat Bournemouth. Like, you've had some, and then we do it at the Emirates against the ones who's supposed to win the title. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's just United are so fucking bizarre. Pat Mason, can't believe how some of the players we were slated for a few seasons have just come back like new signings, and the confidence our keeper has given us. Brilliant. Yeah, I had to say, Le Mans isn't in this 5 things we learned, but Le Mans has been
Incredible.
just such a breath of fresh air. That save that he made from Zubamende,
Yeah.
unreal. The reactionary saves, the calmness in collecting crosses, set pieces, dangerous ones from Arsenal, which is always super important. And the fact that he's young. I mean, the kid is 23, 22, I think, Le Mans.
Yeah.
That he's got a bright future. And again, that is smart recruitment. Le Mans 20 million, Dorgu 20 million, and they're both really important players for us in starting at the minute. That's proper recruitment. Like, not just big names you go for. No one was talking about Le Mans or Dorgu fucking a year ago.
Yeah.
No one was going on
Yeah.
about it. So, again, props to Ineos for that, because them two look like really, really good signings. Number 4, Shreyas. We are not just relying on Bruno Fernandes anymore. I feel like that was really, really important to mention, because there was a time when if Bruno didn't do anything in the team, we created absolutely nothing. And I think that's no longer the case, even though he wasn't, at his dominant best. And I don't think he had an incredible performance. I obviously still got an assist, but you're looking at other stepping up when he's not able to, Ahmad and Bumo, Dorgu all carried a threat. Mainu, you said, was decent on the ball. Casemiro, and then when the moment comes, he will deliver. He will be at that point. But it might be a case of, at the end of the season where there'll be a future eventually where Bruno Fernandes won't be at the club. So you need players to step up, and you need players to take on that pressure. And I think all those players I just mentioned, and Bumo, 8 goals and 1 assist. Cunha's got 5 goals and 2 assists. Dorgu, 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 games. When you compare that to Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford, the way they were playing and the immaturity with them at times, because they're young players, there's a big difference, isn't there?
There is definitely a big difference. Like, imagine you're having Bruno. How many games have he played? 23 games.
Yeah, I think
he's got 5 goals and 10 assists, and we are not relying on him to get us out of jail in these sort of games. Like,
and a lot of that's been from a deeper position as well, right?
Exactly. And I think Arsenal wasn't definitely was not his best game, but I think he was still very, very influential in that game with the way he played. I think, again, he played a captain's, it was a captain's performance from him. Led the team from the start, and showed what you actually need, in that sort of game, in that sort of role, in where he plays. And again, I think he's too much. Again, I think even in the summer, I hope he stays, because he's not an easy player to replace. Like, honestly, with the way he plays and his numbers and everything along with that, he's just
there isn't another Bruno out there.
Not at all. Like, he's probably the last of his bunch. When you look at just those sort of tens who know how to get the team just clicking like that. I don't know if there is any other player in Europe who does what he does on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get even better. It's going to get even better, because right now he's got what he didn't have at United for the past 2-3 seasons. Quality alongside him. Cunha there, Mbumo there, Ahmad there, Dorgu there, and then you've also got the likes of Mount and Sesko still to come on, because there's a whole lot of quality that he's got right now playing alongside him. All he has to do is just find them in the right areas, and that is a job that he does really well. If he just has to pick players in the right moments, Bruno is perhaps the perfect 10 that you could ask for. I just think that next season it will be a bit tough to hold on to Bruno, because, again, I understand it from the player's perspective as well. He's been at United in his prime years pretty much. He's given everything for the club, and maybe it is time for him to move on and have a go at the Champions League, maybe with Bayern, maybe with some other club. But I think wherever he goes, he'll be an icon. Like, if he goes to the Bundesliga, or I think if he goes to this area, you look at what McTominay is doing. You put Bruno there, he might get 30 goals and 30 assists. I don't know, but I think he deserves it. But it will be very, very difficult for us to get another player. Like, I know Cole Palmer sounds really exciting, Morgan Rogers sounds really exciting, but to do what Bruno does in a United shirt, it's not
different.
easy at all.
I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because in his shoes now, or his boots, to use the analogy, he's been through this rodeo before with interim managers coming in and being a bit of a bounce. So it's hard it's hard to really sit him down and say, look how well we're playing at the minute. Like, if they play like this, if you do this for a full season, you're challenging for a title. Like, no doubt about it. Especially we have another window of top recruitment and really sort out that midfield.
Yeah,
And bringing a couple of shrewd signings again, like, you're going to be really competing. In which case, you might be like, okay, but Bruno, there's a very small window in football. When you get past 30, it
yeah,
starts, the gap really starts closing as to when. Do you know what I'm saying? So if he was tempted to go
yeah,
beforehand, I don't know what he's going to be thinking in the summer. I really hope we can keep hold of him.
yeah,
I really don't want him to go. I know there's been questions about it in the past about getting money for him, and I don't care about money. At the minute, I really don't care, because you've got Cunha there, 25, 26. You've got Mason Mount there, who can come on and be a bit of a depth player as well in the number 10 position, who's still relatively young, 27 or whatever.
yeah.
Um, and you can buy smart signings. Like, I don't care about money. I'd rather keep Bruno. I really, really would.
And especially, losing Casemiro and Bruno within the same window itself, it is difficult to actually replace that sort of experience. I mean, Casemiro has won it all.
Yeah.
5 champions. That sort of experience is not easy to actually buy even in the window itself.
You've given me the perfect segue for number 5, because that was my next one. Casemiro is going to leave a massive, massive
Yeah.
hole in his team when he goes.
Hmm.
Obviously announced in just January. Well, we're in January now, but it was last week when it got announced that he's basically going to leave the club in the summer. And obviously his career's been a bit mad, right? Because when he first came in under Ten Hag, first season solid, second season absolute disaster. It was out of the team under Amrim, and then managed to get back into it. And now you look at how he's playing at the moment, and you look at how he's played last night. The guy controlling the middle, recycling possession, was digging in and sitting back and defending really deep when we needed it, to dig out a result. And he's just been like that for the past, like, he's been solid. He's been absolutely solid. Like, couldn't question it. Is the odd thing that he does sometimes with Casemiro where you go, oh, I'm not too sure about that. But apart from that, he's been unbelievable. And when he goes in the summer, you just mentioned it right there. You took the words out of my mouth. Replacing that experience will not be straightforward. Like, you can bring in an Anderson, you can bring in a Carlos Baliba. There is nothing you can replicate where a player's had 600 games.
Yeah.
You can't replicate that. They might be as talented or go on to be more talented. You can't replace experience. So, a question I wanted to ask in the summer, when he does go, would you, as well as bringing in an Anderson or Bleeber or both, would you go for a Jorginho type signing as well, or like a Norgard or Henderson, that experienced pro 10, 15 million, just to have that? Because I do think we lack a little bit of experience in the team.
I think if Bruno sticks around, I won't. I think if Bruno also leaves, then definitely I would,
Yeah.
because it's not just even about experience, it's about having those players who've been in those big moments in the finals and won it.
Yeah.
We've not got a lot of players like that. I mean, Cunha is incredible, Menu is incredible as well, but these players have won at the biggest moments. To maintain your composure, it only comes with experience. And I think if when Casemiro does go, I think we need to be very, very careful with how we replace him, because I've seen it a lot of times. Midfield revamps, they're I think the most tricky area in the field where you have to revamp, because I think attack as well, you're still okay. I think defensively you're still fine, but midfield is an area, I think, which dictates how your season is going to go. And I don't know how many opportunities we'll get in the next window, and what sort of players actually become available in the market as well, because there's still a lot of football left to be played this season. And by the time the season ends, Wharton is there, Baliba is there, Anderson is there, but there might be other players being available
Yeah.
at that time as well. You never know if players like Kamavinga come through, because lack of game time and everything, as to what is being reported. I wouldn't mind if United can actually go and get him in, as a Casemiro replacement. On top of that, someone who's won Champions League finals, been in those moments where you need to change the pace of the game as well. I think United will need at least two midfielders when Casemiro goes, to actually make up for that difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've said it many, many times. I think there's going to be a huge similar investment to what we did in the attack. You're talking £200 million. I think you're going to get a similar investment, especially
Yeah,
if we get Champions League football. That's going to be the main difference. If we get top 4, that's going to be many of the top journalists, your Andy Mittens and Laurie Whitwell's have spoken about how important European football is going to be to this club and how much we're going to need it. Because revenues, match day revenues, everything involved, you look at the total package, probably an extra £70 million. That's a player. You know what I mean? That's a believer potentially if he's going for 75. So that's going to be huge. I think, listen, it's kind of round the video up. We are, in my opinion, the best team to watch in the league at the minute. I think a lot of our games have been exciting, even from a neutral standpoint. You look at us and I think we are always involved in exciting games. We have some of the most dangerous attackers in the league. We have a calm, competent manager who tactically has got it spot on against the biggest managers, Unai Emery, Pep, Arteta, Tuchel, you name it. And Champions League looks like it could be on the horizon. Do you think?
Yeah. I think, because I know other teams are going to drop points. Not talking about United at the moment, but I know Chelsea will drop points, Liverpool will drop points, and we still got to face them. We've got Chelsea to face at Stamford Bridge. We've got Liverpool to face back at home. So Newcastle at St James's Park is always a very difficult game every single time.
But why not?
So
the way we're playing in it, why not?
Yeah, but again, I know that these clubs who I think will be challenging us for that fourth spot, they will eventually lose points as well. None of these guys have been consistent this season.
No.
So this gives us the perfect chance to create that sort of gap. Right now it is just 2 points or 1 point, but if you can create, a cushion of around 5 to 6 points, that's when you can feel a bit more composed that, things are starting to slow down. And when other teams are pressured by you that, the gap is extending from 5 to 8 to 11, that's when people start making mistakes. So if United can capitalize on it, and with the way we are playing it, as long as it may continue, we continue to do it, I think we have a very good shot of making UCL football. And if we do make UCL football, it gives us a better opportunity to actually address that midfield, in a much more careful manner. With Casemiro leaving, you actually are able to get two midfielders in. You're able to sort out that midfield, maybe defensively as well. We see a couple options coming in, or maybe someone goes out the door. You never know. I think this next season is going to be big, and if we get UCL qualification, again, we don't know who the next manager is going to be on a permanent basis. Too early to say it will be.
Good luck trying to get Carrick out the door, innit? If Carrick continues to do what he's doing, and
if Carrick continues to do what he's doing right now, it will be very tough to replace him. But again, if the opportunity is Michael Carrick or Luis Enrique, I don't know if a lot of fans will be okay to let go of Enrique as well at that time.
Yeah, that's a tricky. I'd fucking hate to be Ineos in that situation. I really would. You lose either way. Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't go for an Enrique, you keep Carrick, and then it doesn't turn out the way you want it. It's on you.
Exactly.
If you stick with Carrick, and do you know what I mean? Like either way, you fucked, aren't you? Basically.
Yeah.
So, good luck to Wilcox and to Jim and all those kind of involved. Listen, Sam just put in the chat. Arsenal have only lost 2 games under Arteta when they've scored at least twice. Versus Carrick United in December. So basically, we beat them twice, 3-2, I think it was. Yeah, I remember that other game as well. I think Ronaldo was in the team when we scored. So yeah, arch nemesis. I'll take it. For a further reaction from the game, for all the post-match interview stuff, quotes from players, they will all be on our social media. So make sure you also follow over on TikTok, over on Twitter, and also over on Instagram as well for full match reactions and stuff. There's some really good stuff over on there on the socials. And yeah, also as well, just whilst I have you wonderful people, we have merchandise, which I'm sure you've heard about me going on about a million times before, but we have caps, we have hoodies, we have mugs if you're a cereal tea drinker like Sam is. Check it out. If there's anything there for you, tag us in it if you get some products, whether it's a cap or a mug. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the stuff, because we worked on it for quite a while. Sam's done a lot of work kind of in the background. And yeah, it's officially live and it's officially limited. So the link will be in the description. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like to the video for us if you can. And yeah, appreciate your time, Shreyas. It's nice to be a United fan at the moment, isn't it?